Yeah, you saw that title correctly. And no, nobody's holding a gun to my head. I haven't been coerced, I'm of sound mind and body, and nobody sent me a $2,000 donation to make this video like Seth the programmer. What you read in that title, Sasuke is stronger than Naruto, I genuinely believe. And more than just generally believing it, I don't think the skill gap is necessarily close right now. But listen, I know a lot of you are sitting there and saying, considering Naruto and Sasuke's current situation in the Boruto manga, talking about their power levels is kind of a moot point. And honestly, you're right. One of them is in a time-frozen dimension floating through nothingness with his wife, and the other has more wood than Tiger in a Hooters. But today, we're gonna be ignoring all that, because today we're gonna be talking about Naruto and Sasuke's rivalry across the entirety of the Naruto timeline, and discuss at which points in the entirety of that timeline, which one of them was stronger, and why. Which will lead us all the way up to, or at least just a little bit before, where we currently are in Boruto, so that we can finally lay rest to the question, who's stronger post-nerf, Sasuke or Naruto? But before we get to laying any questions to bed, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you love the idea of me laying some of anime's most hotly contested questions to bed, go ahead and follow my other channel, The Weeb Commander, where instead of talking about Naruto and Boruto, I talk all other anime and manga. And if you just love the idea of me talking about anime and manga, go ahead and follow my anime podcast, The Talkers Anonymous, where me and Danny Mata break down everything that happened in anime this week. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to see me live, coming down to Comic Palooza May 24th to the 26th in Houston, Texas, where I'm going to be doing 6 panels worth of talking about anime and being an anime YouTuber. There are so many reasons to love Naruto as a story. The rich cast of characters, the brutal deaths, the incredible plot twists, and the unparalleled fights. But at the core of all of the reasons to love Naruto is Naruto and Sasuke's rivalry / friendship. However, because Sasuke is gone from the story so often, it can feel as though this central point to love said story can disappear sometimes, making it feel as though it was never truly all that important to the core reason of loving Naruto. However, when Naruto and Sasuke do come to blows at key points throughout the story, it reminds us, oh yeah, that's why I'm watching. But these fights serve a whole lot more purpose than just reminding people why Naruto is such an incredible show, as a lot of people use these key fights between Naruto and Sasuke as ways to prove whether or not Naruto or Sasuke was more powerful at a certain part in that story. But here's the thing, if you truly want to dive into the question of who from the rivalry was more powerful at which part of the story, you have to look at so much more than just their one-on-one fights, because throughout all of Naruto's 700 episodes, there's only 5 of those. And therefore, if you truly want to dive into this question and answer it in the most comprehensive and clear way possible, you have to look at so much more evidence than just these 5 fights. You have to look at the entire story. And truly, only after you've gone through the entirety of the story and picked out individual moments where either Sasuke or Naruto have gotten weaker or stronger, will you truly be able to understand the complexity of Naruto and Sasuke's relationship. Because understanding which person, be it Naruto or Sasuke, is more powerful at a certain point in the story actually helps you better understand the motivations of both Naruto and Sasuke. And that's what I'm going to be trying to show you today. But in order to do that, we need to head all the way back to the beginning. See, Naruto as a story is all about the child Naruto, who everybody in Konoha hates, mostly because he has no real talents for anything in life outside of making other people's lives more difficult. And yet, even though Naruto has this meager set of skills, he's trying to overcome the hardships of his birth to lead those very same people who look down on him. Therefore, in order for the story to have the character arc that it needs to, Naruto has to start with nothing. And he does. Naruto fails out of the Shinobi Academy 3 times before he manages to pass the Shinobi Academy with the rest of the Konoha 12. And amongst the grade he does pass with, Sasuke exists at the top. A generational talent even amongst the Uchihas, of which he is unfortunately the last. And at this moment, the gap in Naruto and Sasuke's power is probably about as big as it will ever be. Though post-time skip, the power gap is comparably sized. See, because at this particular moment, Naruto was barely able to use the clone technique, not the shadow clone technique, which was the minimum required requisite for passing the Shinobi Academy in the first place. While Sasuke had already mastered the Great Fireball Jutsu with such proficiency that even his father father Fugaku, who was actively comparing him to Itachi, was impressed. And thus heading into the Shinobi Academy, Sasuke had a level of ninjutsu proficiency that was comparable to a Chunin, while Naruto was barely capable of becoming a Genin. Which is why when Naruto and Sasuke have their first ever battle, the battle they have at the Shinobi Academy, Naruto is laid flat so fast he doesn't even realize what happened. And in this moment, the power dynamic between the two of them was established. And it would continue to be established and re-established over and over and over again, even though the two of them weren't coming to blows. As after the two of them passed through the Shinobi Academy, they were placed on the same team, Team 7. And now that they were on the same team, there were numerous opportunities for Sasuke to display a level of strength that was superior to that of Naruto's. The first of which was the bell test, where Sasuke established himself as the only person even remotely capable of getting close to Kakashi's bells. As in a taijutsu exchange with Kakashi, Sasuke was able to briefly touch his bells, while Naruto, in the same exact position as Sasuke, wasn't able to come anywhere near the bells. And in fact, him trying to fight against Kakashi resulted in not only him getting the 1,000 years of death, but also resulted in Naruto having to brawl with all of his shadow clones because he believed that Kakashi turned into one of his shadow clones. So he beat himself up and got violated by an adult, while Sasuke got close. But the important takeaway from this moment is that Naruto had a plan to take Kakashi's bells. He staged a multifaceted attack and used 7 or 8 shadow clones in the conclusion of that attack, something that actually impresses Kakashi, as when he sees Naruto using the shadow clone technique, he goes, "Oh, I heard he could use it, but I didn't think at this level." However, it's Naruto's lack of understanding of his own jutsu that leads to his downfall. But even though the end result of him trying to challenge Kakashi is him beating himself up, the establishment of this plan and the usage of shadow clones in that plan lays the groundwork for progress that Naruto is making, as the Naruto, just a couple of chapters or episodes prior to this moment, wouldn't have been able to do any of that, implying improvement. While Sasuke, who hasn't awoken his Sharingan yet, lays traps, attacks with taijutsu, and his giant fireball technique, which were all things that we knew he could already do. And thus, the bell test is actually the first situation where we see the plot begin to shift Naruto closer to Sasuke. But the momentum doesn't stop there for Naruto. The next couple of pivotal moments happen in the Land of Waves arc, as it was as early as this arc where Naruto began to close the gap almost in its entirety between him and Sasuke. And that's backed up incredibly early in this arc, as it takes both Naruto and Sasuke the same amount of time to learn how to focus chakra into the bottom of their feet and run up trees. Even though Naruto was technically assisted, Bakura with knowledge, as she was able to master putting chakra on the bottom of her feet on the first try. But still, this moment is meant to clearly depict to us that the gap between Naruto and Sasuke is not going to be a gap for long. But this obviously isn't the only important moment for Naruto in this arc. But the mistake that a lot of people make when talking about this arc is that they only ever take into account the final battle of this arc, that being the battle between Haku, Zabuza, and Team 7. But even before that battle, in Team 7's first squabble with Zabuza, many people forget that it was Naruto who threw the kunai that forced Zabuza to break away from the water prison jutsu he had on Kakashi, which then leads to Zabuza's subsequent defeat at the hand of Kakashi. And while the key takeaway that people usually take away from this fight is that Naruto and Sasuke are learning how to work together as a team because of the bonding they did while trying to run up trees, the more important takeaway here is that the Demon Shuriken plan was Naruto's, and it was foreshadowed in the plan that Naruto constructed to get Kakashi's bells from him. And this plan only works because Naruto and Sasuke are approaching this plan at equals in strength. But even though they did approach this plan as equals on the team and in strength, Sasuke didn't notice the skill gap closing between them yet. But that would obviously soon change. See, because while it might seem crazy to say, that moment right there, the Demon Shuriken plan in the first battle against Zabuza, is a moment that Naruto and Sasuke's power became equal. See, Naruto, as we obviously know now, always had the possibility to become a great ninja. His genetic makeup is actually way more impressive than Sasuke's, but he always got in his own way. But the Demon Shuriken plan is Naruto's first step in breaking that habit and actually tapping into the true potential he has. And this equality in their power is solidified in the battle against Haku. But what do I mean by that? If anything, the Haku fight only solidified Sasuke to be the stronger of the two of them, right? Because Naruto dim-wittedly runs into Haku's mirror maze and then is struck with so many Senbon that he fails remains, which leads to Sasuke having to protect him, which leads to Sasuke eventually awakening his Sharingan, which he can use to track Haku as he travels between his ice mirrors, something he was actually beginning to figure out even before he unlocked his Sharingan. But because Haku aimed his Senbon for the now out cold Naruto on the ground, Sasuke had to cover his body, and thus Sasuke lost in the battle against Haku. But this means that if Sasuke didn't have the dead weight of Naruto around, he should have been able to defeat Haku. Right? Well, yeah, probably. Sasuke does get an upgrade in the middle of this fight. And even before that upgrade, he was reacting to and taking shots from Haku. All things that Naruto could not do. But if Sasuke's upgrade Sharingan made him strong enough to defeat Haku, Naruto tapping into Kurama's chakra also made him powerful enough to defeat Haku. And the beauty of the situation is that both of these power-ups are not intentional. Sasuke's Sharingan awakens because he realizes he needs more power to protect Naruto. And Naruto is able to tap into Kurama's chakra for the first ever time because he realizes that Sasuke put his body on the line to save him. And while one could argue that Naruto accessing Kurama's chakra in the early stages is less of an intentional power-up than the Sharingan, as he's only able to activate Kurama's chakra in OG Naruto when he's really upset about something, the power is there all the same, and when push came to shove, Naruto is always able to tap into Kurama's chakra. And thus, in the conclusion of the Haku fight, even though Naruto is the person who defeats Haku, Naruto and Sasuke, already at equal levels of strength heading into the Haku fight, received comparable power-ups that continued to allow them to be equal in power, just now at a higher level. And for those of you who are truly stuck on the idea that Naruto wasn't able to tap into Kurama's chakra truly whenever he needed to, he did it again in an incredibly important battle against Orochimaru just a few chapters later, specifically in the battle that Naruto and Sasuke have against Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. And in this battle, both Naruto and Sasuke, using their new prospective power-ups that they can tap into willy-nilly, are able to fight with Orochimaru with an equal amount of strength. I'm not saying that they're equal to Orochimaru in strength, they weren't even close. The fight that they put up against Orochimaru was equal, as Sasuke's able to trade taijutsu with Orochimaru and launch a series of giant fireballs at it, all after activating his Sharingan, and Naruto is able to battle back against Orochimaru's giant snakes after activating Kurama's chakra. However, the result of both of these battles is Naruto and Sasuke's defeat. And while Naruto's defeat comes at the hands of Orochimaru sapping him of his chakra, Sasuke's defeat comes at the hand of Orochimaru giving him a curse mark. And thus the power balance sitting equal to each other doesn't last for long, because the curse mark is a buff. See, because even though in the early days of Sasuke receiving the curse mark, he was only able to access the first level of it, through the power of activating this curse mark, he's able to defeat Sound Village Genin that Sakura, Rock Lee, and probably Naruto wouldn't be able to defeat. And thus, once again in this moment, Sasuke regained his crown of strongest member in the duo rivalry. And it stays this way for the entirety of the Chunin exams, up until Sasuke and Naruto both go off with their respective teachers, Kakashi and Jiraiya, in preparation for the final stages of the Chunin exam. And it's with this tutoring that both Naruto and Sasuke take big steps in terms of power. But Naruto's step is much larger, and not necessarily because of anything he did. See, the reason that the split off to two different teachers is so much more impactful for Naruto than it is for Sasuke is because Kakashi seals off Sasuke's curse mark, which inevitably makes the curse mark weaker. And while argue all you want that if Sasuke was entirely reliant on the curse mark, it would make him entirely reliant on Orochimaru, and therefore Orochimaru would have taken over Sasuke's body, this was still a nerf to a boost that had made Sasuke stronger than Naruto. But Naruto, while with Jiraiya, experienced the exact opposite thing. See, because while training with Jiraiya, initially Naruto was not only taught how to better tap into Kurama's chakra, but also how to summon toads, which when done properly could lead to Naruto summoning one of the strongest summoning animals in the entirety of the universe, Gamabunta, of which there might be one, maybe two stronger summoning animals then. And just in that moment, immediately, Naruto was made a Jonin level threat, assuming his summoning contract went through properly. And thus, even though in this moment Sasuke learned Chidori, he lost a lot of strength due to the sealing of the curse seal, at least in respect Sasuke in the Forest of Death. While Naruto bolstered the amount of chakra he would be able to tap into by deepening his connection to Kurama and learned summoning jutsu, a jutsu that Sasuke wouldn't learn until he fled the village. And thus the reason that Naruto was able to defeat Gaara when Sasuke couldn't is because of these training periods where Sasuke's strength was sealed while Naruto's was bolstered. And thus during the Konoha Crush arc, Naruto is stronger than Sasuke. That much is obvious. And it's in the Konoha Crush arc that Sasuke finally realizes this, which is what drives him to leave the village eventually. And these feelings are only exacerbated by the fact that Naruto, after learning summoning jutsu, which made him stronger than Sasuke, went on to learn the Rasengan, which was a counter to the Chidori, which is inherently a tougher jutsu to learn than the Chidori because the Chidori is technically a failed Rasengan, though a failed Rasengan with lightning release applied to it. And while many will say, oh, the Rasengan's more powerful because of what happened on top of the hospital with water tanks, I don't necessarily think that's true. See, the Rasengan and the Chidori are fundamentally different, with one being a blunt force attack that spiralizes the chakra through your body and results in an explosion out your back, and the other essentially being a lightning blade. That's like saying a club is stronger than a sword. In the right hands or in different circumstances, both can be stronger than the other. And thus, if Kakashi hadn't stepped in and separated the two of them, I think most likely what would have happened is that Sasuke would have had to learn to use his mouth to open letters earlier, and Naruto would have been the first person who had Hashirama's cells grafted onto him, not the last. But still, it's probably safe to assume that in this moment, Naruto is still the stronger out of the two of them, because even Sasuke has acknowledged that fact. But it doesn't stay that way for long, does it? As in the conclusion of the Sasuke retrieval arc, the next arc, Naruto and Sasuke have their first real bout, which Sasuke is the victor of, and therefore he must surely be the stronger of the two of them in that moment. Right? No. See, well, yes, this is technically the first time that we ever see Sasuke tap into level 2 of the curse mark, and the new boost of this second level of the curse mark did even the playing field in terms of power between Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto never uses or even tries to use summoning jutsu in this battle, and as we previously covered, summoning jutsu was technically supposed to be Naruto's +1 ability that countered the Chidori, with the Rasengan technically putting Naruto +1 above Sasuke in terms of abilities. But with that line of logic, that would mean that Sasuke acquiring the second level of his curse mark would once again equilibrate the scales. And while I know this sounds like incredibly reductive logic, it's the way that Kishimoto was writing these characters intentionally. Both Naruto and Sasuke got power-ups at the same time for the entirety of part 1 of Naruto. The activation of Sasuke's Sharingan is supposed to run parallel with Naruto tapping into Kurama's chakra. The acquiring of the curse mark for Sasuke is supposed to run parallel to Naruto learning how to better tap into Kurama's chakra. The Chidori and summoning jutsu are meant to level each other out, and level 2 of the curse mark and the Rasengan are meant to level each other out. They both received an equal amount of buffs throughout part 1 of Naruto, and technically that continues into Shippuden. And thus, it's widely accepted amongst most logic-achieving brains that if Naruto had tried to summon Gamabunta, which he would have been successful in considering the fact he was tapping into Kurama's chakra during this battle, that he would have won. But plot needed him to lose, and therefore lose he did, because by not using his summoning jutsu, Naruto -1 on his buff total, which put him at a disadvantage in a battle against Sasuke. But admittedly, Sasuke walking away from this fight the stronger out of the two of them does make sense in the long run, as the time skip does make Sasuke substantially stronger, while it doesn't make a huge amount of difference to Naruto. See, Sasuke comes back from the time skip with mastery over his curse mark, techniques like Kirin, and shape transformed Chidori so that he can apply his Chidori to his sword, or use things like Chidori Sharp Spear or Chidori Senbon. And by Sasuke learning how to tap into his own curse mark, he's become a sage of sorts, as by activating it, he's tapping into Orochimaru's Senjutsu chakra. While Naruto comes back from the time skip with Rasengan, summoning jutsu, and somehow less control of Kurama. As in the 3 years he spent training with Jiraiya, they were able to tap further into Kurama's power. However, by tapping further into the wellspring's power, Naruto would more frequently lose control. And we can't necessarily give Naruto his feats in his Four Tails version 2 Jinchuriki because he's not in control. He has no ability to direct this power. And thus, when Naruto and Sasuke came face to face again in the beginning of Shippuden, the power gap between the two of them is almost as large as it's ever been, with the only other larger gap being when they were both in the Academy. And this is on purpose because Shippuden is supposed to be a hard reset on their rivalry. Naruto is technically supposed to be starting with nothing, at least comparatively to Sasuke. Because if Naruto came into Shippuden as powerful as Sasuke, then there wouldn't be much of a chase. And thus, in the moment that Sasuke raised his hands, presumably to use Kirin, if he wasn't stopped, he probably could have killed Naruto. And throughout the majority of Shippuden, Sasuke retains this large lead in terms of strength over Naruto, as the first real upgrade that Naruto gets in Shippuden is the Rasen Shuriken, which gives him access to a long-range attack, something that Sasuke has had access to for years, with his great fireball technique and now the shape transformation he's able to apply to his Chidori. And thus the boost in strength that Naruto gets from figuring out the Rasen Shuriken is substantial. It does not close the gap between the two of them. And this, at least to me, is is shown rather clearly as Sasuke in episode 124 defeats Deidara, who I don't believe Naruto, at least at that point in the story, would have stood much of a chance against. To which some of you respond, but Nick, Naruto was able to defeat Kakuzu, who is stronger than Deidara. To which I would respond, no, he didn't. He had Ino, Choji, and Kakashi there with him. And while the Rasen Shuriken was key to Kakuzu's defeat, Sasuke won in a 1v1 against somebody very close to Kakuzu's strength. So this display of both of the members of the dynamic duo taking on and defeating Akatsuki members is substantially more impressive for Sasuke than it is for Naruto. And this is kind of supposed to be the vibe of the first 130 to 140 episodes of Naruto. But there is a time when that vibe shifts substantially. That time is episode 143, when Killer Bee is introduced to the story as Sasuke and the rest of Heavy try to take him down. Wait, no, I think they're Taka at that point. Who cares, honestly? And it's in this moment as Sasuke and the rest of his ragtag team of delinquents try to take down Bee, a perfect Jinchuriki, we're meant to, as viewers, say, oh, this is what Naruto is capable of. This moment is supposed to be a tonal shift, akin to the water tower moment on top of the hospital, where it's made clear to us, the viewer, and Sasuke, that there is a great power out there that Sasuke does not have access to, but Naruto does. And this realization happening at this moment is incredibly ironic, because the reason that Sasuke is in the situation in the first place, fighting Killer Bee, is because just 5 episodes prior, he achieved his dream of killing his brother. And in that moment, Sasuke also achieved a massive upgrade to his power in the form of the MS. And thus this fight should have been a display of Sasuke's undeniable strength and show us that in fact Sasuke would be the one who inherited the earth with his new eyes, new skills, and new mastery. And yet, he is killed twice by a man fighting a 1v4. And thus it is signaled, even before Naruto receives his power-up in the form of Sage Mode, that there is another water tower situation on the way for Sasuke. And that moment is when Naruto appears in a destroyed Konoha and takes on Nagato, one of the strongest members of the Akatsuki, the second strongest member of the Akatsuki, and one-on-one and wins. And go ahead and complain about the fact that,
oh, Naruto would have won that battle if it wasn't for the asshole of Kushina being in his 8 trigram seal.
But the Minato one-shot literally solidified that that's exactly how the 8 trigram seals work and fixed any possible complaint that anybody could have about the situation. So, L plus ratio. And thus Naruto, through the acquiring of Sage Mode, has received a boost that put him on par with Heavy or Taka Sasuke. I literally can't remember which one came first, right? Because Heavy means snake, and Taka, I don't know what Taka means, but if Heavy means snake, that's probably the Orochimaru squad. But when I say that, I mean that I believe that Sage Mode Naruto probably couldn't defeat Killer Bee in a fight. But I also, somewhat confusingly, and I'm gonna explain it here in a second, believe that Sage Mode Naruto couldn't defeat Nagato in a fight. However, the understanding of his 8 trigram seal and the love of his parents acted as a secondary boost and put him definitively over Taka Sasuke in terms of strength. And this secondary boost allowed him to acquire a level of strength that allowed him to finally persevere over Nagato in the 6 Paths of Pain. And thus, once again in this moment, Naruto was able to achieve a level of strength not yet accessible to the likes of Sasuke. But that wouldn't last for long. See, Naruto mastered Sage Mode prior to coming to battle against Nagato. And while Sage Mode, like literally any jutsu, can get stronger the more you're familiarized with it, and that's evidenced by the fact that Naruto has definitely become a better sage over the years, which he even goes so far as to say in Boruto, Sage Mode isn't inherently meant to be upgradable. However, the MS is different. The better you get with the MS, the stronger your Susanoo gets, the stronger your MS abilities get, the more you're able to blend your Susanoo with your MS abilities. And thus, the Sasuke that we see fight Killer Bee has next to no mastery over his MS, which is very clearly displayed when a couple of chapters later, Sasuke goes toe-to-toe with the 4th Raikage, who should be comparably strong to Killer Bee, and he's able to use his Susanoo ribcage in tandem with Kagutsuchi to force the 4th Raikage to cut his own arm off. And while Sasuke gets dog-walked by pretty much every single Kage at the 5 Kage Summit, and saved by Obito and White Zetsu, and then has to retreat, this moment was meant to display the level at which Sasuke has been able to upgrade upgrade his MS abilities, which he then uses very soon after to kill Danzo. And while I do believe that Sage Mode Naruto would be able to kill Danzo, much like Sasuke, I do think, like with Nagato, it would probably require for Naruto to tap into Kurama's power and lose control. However, the truly interesting part of this fight, at least for the confines of this video, is the fight that Naruto and Sasuke have after Sasuke kills Danzo, which many people claim that Naruto is the winner of because Sasuke had to retreat. But let me tell you right now, in that fight, a fresh Sasuke kills Naruto. If we can assume in that moment that Sasuke even had half the strength with his Susanoo that Madara had in the 4th Great Shinobi World War, then Naruto did not have the AP necessary to blast through a 3rd stage Susanoo from Sasuke. 3rd stage being armored incomplete, even if he were to use the Rasen Shuriken. Tie this into the fact that the only way that Naruto has tanked Amaterasu multiple times is through the usage of KCM-1 or KCM-2 by using KCM hands to either catch Kagutsuchi blades or just block Amaterasu. And when you consider that in that fight, Naruto did not have access to any form of Kurama Chakra mode outside of losing control as a Jinchuriki, I just genuinely can't find a path in which Naruto comes out of this battle victorious and doesn't also kill Team 7. See, Madara was able to tank a KCM-1 boosted Big Ball Rasengan with just his ribcage. If we assume that Sasuke's MS Armored Susanoo is as strong as Madara's Susanoo ribcage, which is actually probably a fair comp, I really just can't find a way in which Naruto is able to blast through it. And what's crazy is that all of this is in the wake of Sasuke losing a power-up, as Itachi's key motivation in battling against his younger brother was to excise Orochimaru and the curse mark from Sasuke. So while sure, technically the battle against Itachi did give Sasuke the MS, it stripped him of any access to Senjutsu Chakra. But after retreating from this fight, Sasuke only gets stronger, as it's after this fight that he accepts the eyes of his brother and acquires EMS. And thus, presumably, this has never been confirmed, a full-body Susanoo. But Naruto also pretty much immediately gets an upgrade to KCM-1 and therefore access to things like the mini-tailed Beast Ball and the very short-lived tailed Beast Ball Rasengan. And with control over tailed Beast Bombs, at least in a miniaturized sense, Naruto now definitively has the AP to blast through an armored Susanoo, but probably not a full-body Susanoo. But Naruto's upgrades don't stop there, while Sasuke's do. See, heading into the war, EMS Sasuke is stronger than KCM-1 Naruto, but KCM-1 Naruto doesn't stick around for long, like at all. KCM-1 Naruto has like 1.5 battles. Killer Bee, KCM-1 Naruto, and Edo Itachi versus Edo Nagato, and then KCM-1 Naruto versus White Mask Obito, which is objectively impressive because White Mask Obito should have been more powerful. But while battling against White Mask Obito, who's just a stronger version of Nagato, Naruto awakens the KCM-2, which is essentially just Naruto and Kurama deciding to work together. And KCM-2 is Naruto's final buff until Hagoromo's buff. In KCM-2, opening a pathway of communication between Naruto and Kurama means that Naruto now has access to the entirety of Kurama's chakra. Well, at least the entirety of half of Kurama's chakra. And Kakashi himself stated that Naruto has about 4 times more chakra than Kakashi. However, if Naruto was able to tap into Kurama's chakra, he would have about 100 times more chakra than Kakashi, meaning that Naruto, who is now able to tap into the entirety of Kurama's chakra, would see roughly about a 25x increase to his usable chakra, which is insane, especially when you consider the fact that Kakashi was talking about half of Kurama. And with the advent of KCM-2, Naruto was now officially a perfect Jinchuriki, capable of completing a full body transformation and therefore capable of using tailed beast balls at the highest level of proficiency. But Naruto obviously went further than just standard tailed beast balls, creating some of his most powerful jutsu ever, like his tailed beast ball Rasen Shuriken, which boosted his AP easily into the realm of, oh, this could kill Sasuke. And in that exact moment when Naruto unlocked KCM-2, him and EMS Sasuke were equal in strength. Now, the reason that I say in that exact moment is because when Naruto first unlocked KCM-2, he could only use it for 5 minutes. But over the course of the war, that time limit disappeared. And with the disappearance of that time limit, so disappeared any idea of equality in terms of power between Naruto and Sasuke, as Sasuke technically had no additional power to tap into. Sure, you can make the argument that Sasuke gets better with his Susanoo over the course of the war, but not at the level that Naruto gets better with KCM-2, because we're not even talking about the fact that Naruto eventually figures out how to add KCM-2 onto Sage Mode, and Sasuke, who no longer has a curse mark, can't stack his EMS on top of anything. But for the majority of the war arc, Naruto and Sasuke moved as equals, with their best example of equality being their battle against Jubito, where they unleashed their first ever majestic attacker Susanoo, which was enough to yank the 10 tails out of Jubito. And on top of being equals in victories, they were also equals in losses, as both Naruto and Sasuke are kind of killed during the 4th Great Shinobi World War, with Sasuke being run through by Madara with his own sword, and Naruto having Kurama extracted from him, which forced him to have to be transported to Minato, who gave his half of Kurama to Naruto. But with time, Naruto continues to grow through the usage of KCM2, and eventually continues to display feats more impressive than Sasuke, like his lava release Rasen Shuriken cutting the God Tree in half. But just as Naruto began to take the lead on Sasuke during the war, Hagoromo came down and blessed the two of them with power-ups to use in their battle against Madara, which manifested as a Sage of Six Paths mode for Naruto and some True Seeker orbs, and a 6-Tome Rinnegan for Sasuke. But Sasuke got the better deal here in the long run. While Naruto does get his Sage of Six Paths mode amp, there's no definitive evidence to prove that he still has that in Boruto. On top of that, one of the biggest selling points of Naruto's amp from Hagoromo was the True Seeker orbs he got from it, which he no longer has. However, Sasuke, who also received Six Paths chakra, still, well, I guess not still, but for a long time still very clearly had access to the 6-Tome Rinnegan. And yet Naruto came out of the boost stronger. But why? Well, if you remember earlier what I said about Naruto being equal to EMS Sasuke the second he got KCM2, well, the same could be said for Sasuke immediately post Hagoromo boost. See, Naruto got a boost in chakra, something he's very familiar with, and a mode that allowed him to control some orbs and put 3 faces on Kurama. Nothing conceptually that difficult. While Sasuke got a brand new eye with powers he could barely begin to comprehend. And while Sasuke did get a boost to his chakra, this eye was like keeping a flashlight on your phone at all times. It was incredibly taxing, and thus Sasuke's battery was doomed to run out now much faster than it did previous, as opposed to Naruto, who got a new half of Kurama halfway through the war. And thus, even though Sasuke did end up stealing 8.5 tailed beasts to fight against Naruto in the Valley of the End, the chakra of Kurama is more than 50% of all of the chakra of all of the tailed beasts combined. And since both Sasuke and Naruto were tapping into 50% of Kurama, that means at most, by taking 8.5 of the tailed beasts hostage, Sasuke was only tapping into roughly double the amount of assisted chakra of Naruto. But Naruto's chakra reserves at this moment in time were well beyond that of Sasuke, as you have to remember, he's half Uzumaki and half Namikaze. And while Namikaze doesn't necessarily mean anything, Minato had massive reserves of chakra. I mean, let's not forget he was able to use Reaper Death Seal on 50% of Kurama, which means in that moment, he had 50% of the chakra of Kurama. On top of this, Naruto's attacks are substantially less chakra taxing than Sasuke's, who was burning up chakra on an eye he didn't necessarily understand yet. And mind you, this fight starts with him using Shibaku Tensei 9 times. On top of all this, Sasuke's lightning release is naturally weak to Naruto's wind release, because Sasuke apparently followed the rules of Pokemon rivals, always choosing the element weak to yours. So any attack clash that led to a draw between Naruto and Sasuke is actually stronger on Sasuke's end. But still, he loses, while amped on what can be guesstimated to be roughly 50 times Kakashi's chakra, which are high to begin with, so that's kind of embarrassing. And thus Sasuke is weaker in the Valley of the End fight, and he stays weaker than Naruto for a good amount of time. Because even though after the war Sasuke goes on to travel all across the universes looking for Otsutsuki threats, Naruto for about a decade does the exact same thing. And as much progress as Sasuke makes with the 6-Tome Rinnegan, Naruto makes with KCM2, going so far as being able to figure out how to separate a vestige of Kurama away from himself so Kurama can go fight somebody, he can fight somebody else. And thus, even though Sasuke in Boruto now believes he can solo a Kaguya level threat, Naruto has soloed a Toneri level threat, who cut the moon that was enough to seal Kaguya in half. And in Boruto, even though Sasuke and Naruto work in tandem to take on Momoshiki and Ishiki, it's clear in both of these fights that Naruto is still the stronger of the two of them. Baryon mode leads to a massive nerf for Naruto, the death of Kurama, and the possible loss of a fair amount of his own chakra. But Naruto isn't alone in this nerfing, as immediately after the conclusion of the Ishiki fight, Sasuke catches some heat in the form of a kunai to the eye, his 6-Tome Rinnegan. But while Naruto's nerf was most definitely a curse, Sasuke's might have been a blessing. See, well, obviously the loss of Sasuke's eye led to him losing abilities like Heavenly Hand Power, the 6 Paths, and all of his space-time ninjutsu. It didn't make him lose access to Amaterasu, which technically should have been stored in his 6-Tome Rinnegan eye, which means, more likely than not, he also probably didn't lose access to Kagutsuchi or his Susanoo, meaning in a sense being stabbed in the Rinnegan has returned Sasuke to his EMS levels of power, right? No. Not right. like at all. See, Sasuke's had the 6-Tome Rinnegan for almost 2 decades, and over the course of those 2 decades, he's been using it constantly, which has led to him multiple times throughout Boruto being out of chakra. But here's the thing about the 6-Tome Rinnegan: even when Sasuke runs out of chakra, the Rinnegan doesn't activate. The Tomei do, meaning that even when Sasuke's out of chakra, there's still a drain on his chakra in the form of an active Rinnegan. And if Naruto logic has taught us anything, using an ability eventually makes you used to that ability. I mean, Naruto eliminated the time limit on KCM2 in a matter of hours. Now, Sasuke is free of that Rinnegan-related drain. And while this means that he no longer has access to some of his cooler abilities, there's already an example in Boruto of somebody who lost the dojutsu that they weren't able to deactivate and getting stronger because of it. And that example is none other than Kakashi, who stated in his light novel as Hokage to be as strong as he was in the war arc, all without his Sharingan, because of the loss of the chakra drain associated with his Kamui Eye. And Kakashi backs up this statement in his light novel by surrounding an entire village with a quartz mud wall that's constantly being barraged by lightning cannons. And if you guys know anything about elemental matchups, you'll know that Earth Release is weak to Lightning Release, and thus the quartz mud wall that Kakashi made is immune to Lightning Release, but therefore more chakra draining. And Kakashi maintains this wall for 12 hours. On top of this, in Kakashi Retsudan, the first of the Retsudan trilogy, Kakashi uses a fire release so massive and so continuous that it extinguishes an infinite source of water being generated by a tool created by Hagoromo. And thus, if Kakashi is able to achieve this level of power through the loss of his dojutsu chakra drain, who's to say that Sasuke shouldn't be able to undergo the same change? But Naruto is in a different position entirely. Naruto lost Kurama, presumably. Things are weird in Boruto right now, which would mean that Naruto, if we assume that Kakashi's calculations are correct, which we genuinely have no reason not to, would see a 50x decrease in chakra, as he had both halves of Kurama as an adult, and Kakashi's calc is based off half of Kurama. And this isn't even taking into consideration the chakra that Naruto might have destroyed from his own reserves. This is why Sakura tells him after he loses Kurama, you no longer have superhuman chakra. You probably can't use jutsus like you used to. And thus it's not crazy to assume right now that Sasuke not only has access to more chakra than Naruto, as anybody who can spam Rinnegan abilities like he has for years probably has superhuman chakra, which is confirmed by the fact that 1/4 of Sage of Six Paths KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto's chakra in the war arc wasn't enough to help Obito open a portal to follow Kaguya, and Sasuke continually opens portals just like that. In fact, he opened one literally for 7 people and then continued to fight Momoshiki afterwards. So it's not crazy to assume that by the time that Naruto and Sasuke were adults, that their human-based chakra reserves were somewhat comparable and are possibly now more comparable now that Naruto has destroyed possibly up to half of his base chakra reserves on top of the loss of Kurama. And on top of this, Sasuke still has access to the majority of the important parts of his kit: Amaterasu, Kagutsuchi, Chidori, Kirin, and Susanoo. So to assume that Naruto, just with Sage Mode, his Kekkei Genkai, the Rasengan, and the Rasen Shuriken, as powerful as that version of Sasuke, seems like a stretch to me. And thus we conclude today's video with the statement of the title. Sasuke is stronger than Naruto, and definitely not for the first time. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you believe my breakdown on this matter is correct? In the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Woo! You thought I'd lost my ability to film a 40-minute video. Still got it.